Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Hunter Elliott here, Rangehot. Hope everybody's doing well. So this afternoon, I hope you recognize my good buddy Andrew Barnes here, Barnes Precision Machine. We're down here at his proving grounds, if you will, doing some gun firearms testing as we do often. And Andrew's always been kind enough to lend a hand and help us be a good resource for different AR related stuff. And so my buddy Chad bought a 9mm AR pistol from Andrew not too long ago, and we're down here doing a little testing and tuning on it. Figured I'd take a few minutes here and let's talk about, how long, Andrew, have you been in the AR game?
Started manufacturing parts mid-90s. Officially for the industry, started manufacturing OEM about 2009, 2010. Complete rifles 2010, 2011. Earned our stripes in the industry as a OEM parts manufacturer, and then have done our fair share of sales to the competitor and some folks in the military community, as well as LE, law enforcement. So yeah, we've earned our stripes the old-fashioned way relative to being an OEM manufacturer.
So, and I want people to understand, we've filmed in your plant before, but Andrew is not ordering receivers from Colt and putting them together in a basement from Barnell's parts kits. You're an actual manufacturer. You manufacture parts.
We have owned 32 CNC machines and been, again, a supplier to the industry. Got a history of hundreds of thousands of parts to up to 15 different rifle companies in our history, as well as our 14,000 plus serial numbers, complete rifles that we've shipped from our plant with our brand, our name. So yeah, we've been fortunate to have a local customer base, somewhat of a national customer base on the competition 3-gun side, and of course a good support level relative to law enforcement and military.
And you compete as well, correct?
I've done some recreational competition like a lot of folks, and it's done us, I think, some good relative to exposure to the sport and what people are doing with the AR platform, what works on the tactical side, as well as what works on the competition side. You're going to get people from the SF law enforcement community competing in that sport, so plenty of cross reference and cross pollination when it comes to input and opinion on what works.
As a competitor yourself, and you've got a handful of pro shooters as well, correct?
Yeah, we've got good friends and good people in our professional circles that we've shot with and become close with over the years that we've supported, and of course we still continue to do so to this day.
And that gives you a lot of good firsthand knowledge of what works, what doesn't work, that you can learn competing yourself and your pro shooters, and then you can take that back to the plant and implement what works well and ignore what doesn't work. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't want to be just like any other company, but we've had our phrase, like a lot of companies for years, innovative refinements to the tactical carbine. So that's what we still intend to do.
And you've sold a lot of rifles to law enforcement?
Quite a few in the state, surrounding state area. Again, we've earned our keep in that sales arena, I think, and with good success.
So suffice to say, with being a manufacturer since the mid-90s and a competitor, you've probably got it figured out a little bit. You know what you're talking about.
There's a lot of companies in the United States that have been involved with precision machining manufacturing at different levels in the history of the AR platform.
Now you have a background in machining, though. You were a machinist before the rifle become a thing, right?
Exactly, and that's where I'm trying to be as honest with everybody as possible, that there's been a lot of businesses involved with this industry, more so as of late than originally in, let's say, the Vietnam post-70s, post-80s era. Manufacturing as a whole in the United States, and recreational manufacturing, firearms manufacturing, and this has been one of those examples of product line getting really, really popular, which drove manufacturing and popularity of manufacturing this product.
And you've come up with a lot of things too. I remember It was a while back. I think we were on a machine gun shoot, and I was running a 10.5. Is that right? You do a 10.5 select fire?
11.5.
11.5. And I was using it was a AAC SR5 baffle stack type can. And do you remember this? And semi-automatic, it was reliable, but when we went to full auto and we really bared down to the gun, we started getting a lot of short stroking. Problems like that only with a baffle stack can, when we were using that. And tell me about the changes that you made to some of the buffer weights and some of the buffers you've done in order to alleviate that.
Well, popularity of short stuff, as it has been related to the pistol. Everyone that is an AR aficionado understands that the pistol is the same working platform as what's known as a SBR, short barreled rifle, which can encompass the Colt product, the Daniel Defense product that are direct use by DOD and military. Those items are fed a strict diet, power factor, if you will, power of ammunition in the use of that product relative to reliability, especially when it comes to suppressor usage with those items. So problems that don't occur at that level, or don't occur at least at levels that are unacceptable, do occur in the civilian commercial industry of the AR pistol, where the port size of the barrel and the power factor of the ammo is all over the place relative to brand, make, model. So what I'm saying with this is it has been harder for the civilian commercial customer setting up an AR style pistol with a short barrel in the 11.5 to 7.5 length range, and get it to mate and work properly with whatever given suppressor brand they choose to get a permit for and purchase.
Sure.
Suppressors are known in the industry to have different volumes, different back pressure, obviously different sound levels, but the back pressure and the volume tend to be what affects reliability and or function to begin with on the host weapon.
So you add a silencer, baffle stack. We're not talking flow through now. We're talking generally baffle stack type
Correct.
cans. You add that to the end of your short barrel rifle or pistol, what have you, and you're going to get an increase in back pressure, which is going to give you an increase in bolt carrier speed.
Yeah, and that's where you start seeing things like stovepiping, failure to eject out of the gun. It will extract partially. Momentum will cause the empty cartridge case to come out of the chamber all the way. It can be floating above the magazine stack, but the bolt carrier is rearward. When the bolt carrier comes forward into battery, it traps the empty shell that did not get ejected from the weapon, even though it got extracted from the chamber, and then it's stacked beside a live round, in an open chamber. It's either sideways, which is called a stovepipe, or it's in line with the carrier underneath or above the live round, and the weapon is inoperable in any case. So if this common, instance happens with suppressor usage and short barrels, it's more than likely bolt overspeed, which can be mitigated by increasing the spring rate and or buffer, or decreasing the port size in the barrel.
Well, but here's the thing: if you've already bought your pistol and you've got your can and you're starting to have trouble, decreasing the port size is not going to work unless you have an adjustable gas system.
Right.
But let's talk about you developing the H4 and H4 Plus buffer.
So we have commercial weight buffers, and we have heavier than commercial weight buffers.
Right.
Commercial weight buffers go up to H3 with an aluminum housing and 3 tungsten weights in the housing that gives you a specific weight.
Okay.
We also have what we've developed is an H4, which gives you a steel housing of the same dimension diameter, but 3 tungsten weights to increase the weight of the buffer. And one step above that is an H4 Plus, which is a large diameter, which still fits inside, an industry standard spring, by the way, And when springs collapse, they grow on the ID, so there's no chance of spring binding.
So if someone has, bought them an SBR or a pistol, and they're running it with a bafflestat can and they're starting to get, feed problems, this would be a really good way to alleviate that without having to take it to a gunsmith. I mean, you certainly, if you can field strip the AR, then you can certainly swap out for an H4 or H4 plus buffer.
Correct. And I mean, there's several ways to look at this. There's another phenomenon called port erosion. It doesn't matter the quality of the barrel material. It doesn't matter the quality of the coating on the inside of the barrel. The port on weapons, gas-operated Eugene Stoner, and gas impingement guns will erode, period, over the life of the weapon.
Sure.
And with that erosion is more gas to the tune of thousands of pounds of pressure introduced into the bolt carrier group, and that's where the guns run hotter and hotter as they age. Introducing a heavier buffer in the gun's life will extend the service life of the gun. SBRs are deadlined at very, very low round count numbers within DOD, Department of State, other agencies. And this, while they still have plenty of rifling left in the bore, by the way, but because the ports get so enlarged, they don't run reliably, and with a suppressor, that's obviously exacerbated. So introducing a heavier buffer is a way to get more life out of the barrel relative to the available rifling. And when the port size grows more, introducing an H4 plus will even continue the life of that barrel.
So this is something, though, they can retail right from BPM, yeah?
Correct.
And so we've talked about this, but you've got something else that I think is worth going over, is you have your own adjustable gas system.
Yeah, we started years ago with permission from a guy in the industry, Matt Gwynn, MGI, to produce what's called the MGI style adjustable gas system. He gave me permission at the SHOT Show one year after having trouble sourcing them from a leading catalog gunsmith company. And he told me, quite frankly, right there in front of my wife at the time and his family, Barnes, you have the ability, go ahead and make it yourself. I told him I would never describe it or call it anything but what it was, and that was the MGI adjustable gas system, or MGI style adjustable gas system. There were some things that we had noticed purchasing them for competition rifles that were at the time not as good as they could be, and we went out and added our feature, a set screw in the bottom instead of a roll pin across. And that ran for years like that. And then we had another improvement on it where we added a ball detent of a stainless steel ball, a spring clip, and a safety wire with a set screw that's notched for detent or click positioning instead of it just being a free spin.
And that will not only give you a reference of what you're adding and subtracting, but also keep the gas system from kind of self-adjusting under recoil.
Correct. The block is stainless steel. The screw is stainless steel, nitride coated, which I'll remove here. We machined this on a modern CNC Swiss style lathe, produced this fastener with a radius bottom to conform with the radius and diameter of the end of the tube so that it fills the tube as complete as possible. The tube is drilled with a hole. The valve is slid over the tube. The screw is the metering device for gas through the system. We've often been asked why the design on the pipe would be better. And fluid and gas dynamics study, anytime you hit a right angle, for example in race car fittings, performance automotive fluid or gas fittings. That's an obstruction to flow and pressure, which could be detrimental. In this case, it's going to happen relative to the design of the weapon. Why not buffer the gas after that transition at a lower heat and lower pressure than right at the block?
So this is different than what a lot of people would have adjustable gas block.
Correct, which would be an adjustment on the low profile gas block itself, which,
right.
I'm not knocking them, except the fact that there's been so many people to complain about the set screw seizing up. Comments like, oh, you're only supposed to set it for one setting and forget it anyway. Not, as they say, I'm gonna assure you many people are going to want to adjust the system if they can, from the weakest ammunition they use to the most powerful power factor ammunition they use.
So this design, you believe, is superior to the adjustable gas block?
Well, I mean, superior might not be the word I'd use, but it's an alternative to those designs that are out there.
Okay. Now, it wasn't very long ago that you started doing AR pistols, because they're all the rage, and you started machining your own brace. Is that correct?
Correct.
And here's a couple different examples. Now, you machined these. These are not plastic, right?
These are 6063 aluminum extrusion. We purchased the extrusion die shape years ago, submitted our formal drawings, CAD work, to ATF, to the technology branch, and with one small modification relative to length of pull, we got our letter signed and approved by ATF, which we keep on file to this day.
So, I mean, but this is something as well. I mean, you buy an AR pistol from BPM and it's going to have your brace on it.
Correct.
But if somebody was looking for maybe something a little more durable, they wanted an aluminum brace, they can also source this part from you, correct?
Absolutely.
So this is all stuff that you retail to the market.
Yes, and this works with a common
buffer tube,
receiver extension tube, also known as a buffer tube.
All right. So, I mean, these are three examples of stuff that you've brought to bear to the market that could easily be considered improvements. I've been using an H4 Plus buffer in my SBRs for about 4 or 5 years now, and I noticed that now when I add whatever can I add to the end of the gun, be it select fire or semi-automatic, what have you, I'm not having malfunctions at all whatsoever. So my own experience, I can testify the H4 Plus buffer makes a hell of a difference. We've had a lot of customers give us really good feedback on the heavier buffers as an instant, easy elixir fix to a problematic suppressed weapon. And this would be something you could just throw in your range bag and swap out at the range day, easy peasy. Versus, your adjustable gas system is going to require a little more gunsmithing, but still someone savvy. To be honest, we don't recommend to departments or on the tactical side, adjustable gas systems on, per se, duty weapons. Right. Those weapons are ported and built relative to what, power factor of ammunition they're going to digest. And to be honest, that's how the leading people in the industry do it. And we follow that practice. Not to drop names, but I've spoken to the engineers and the folks at these companies that are leading DoD suppliers now and for decades. And so we're on par with what they're doing port size for our LE guns, and we can tell you plain face that what they do for their commercial pistols is completely different port size what they do on their DoD side provided product within SBR and suppressor usage. You have to be wide open on a port for a commercial AR pistol that has to lock back with weak sauce 223 ammo that you got at the gun show. So not everybody's going to have access to full power 5.56 NATO and a consistent diet of it. And the manufacturers out there with these very, very accepted large industry names that I won't drop here, but I'm just telling you, their engineers have told me, personally, that we're on par, on the money
port size for LE guns as opposed to commercial guns, i.e. pistols. LE guns are SBRs. Commercial guns are pistols.
Right. All right. Well, I mean, I guess that wraps it up pretty good on, some of your history, as well as some of the, the newer stuff that you've innovated and come out that can be retailed to the general public that may be experiencing some issues, or wanted to maybe upgrade or improve what they're running.
Happy to help.
All right. Well, y'all, you heard it here. I know it's a lot of information to digest, but I've been working with Andrew for a number of years now, and I consider him a pretty solid resource anytime I'm doing anything AR related. And I know he builds a hell of a rifle, so I'm gonna take what he says at face value, and I believe him. So anyway, y'all be good.